South Africa, they've never won an ICC tournament. Oh, actually, they won the first ever Champions Trophy.
Like, from our own perspective, I think expectations are low. I don't think this is the highest priority tournament for the team, but there's definitely enough quality in there for them to not embarrass themselves completely.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, Shubh. Don't worry, Harry. You are safe on the podium.
Fourth question. Which players represent South Africa the most in Champions Trophy history?
Has to be Jack Callis, bro. 4 editions, I guess.
Wrong. It's Mark Boucher with 17. Finally, last but certainly not least, is Mel. And of course, I'm going
to... No. Last and most certainly least. I'm actually going for 0.
Question 2. In the 2000...
I got one! Yeah! Can we stop now? Stop the quiz!
You should have gone with a batting all-rounder for your bowler, because they count as bowlers now.
That is so true. Yeah, I know. Sam, I should have done that. I just wish I'd studied a bit more.
I've seen her doing quizzes with Avanish before, and she never knows anything. So,
oh, thanks, mate.
That was surprise.
Wow.
No, sorry, that's pre-tournament sledging between a South Africa and an Australian fan.
Right. Okay.
Right then, what a cracking Group B preview we're going to be doing in this one. And I'm the host, Avanish Hegde, dressed in the Afghanistan blue. And who doesn't love an underdog story? I mean, honest to God, I generally feel Afghanistan could punch above their weight this time around. Let's introduce the panel one by one. We have Shubh Agarwal, ex-writer of cricket.com and, of course, current ESPN Cricket Pro. Thanks, Shubh. Hopefully, your Proteas can do us a favor or two in the Champions Trophy. Then, joining us from Sydney, Australia, is the friend of cricket.com and Australian journalist Melinda Farrell. She's going to be talking all things Australian in terms of this Champions Trophy preview. And last but certainly not least is an Englishman. Not an Englishman from the UK, but actually in Beijing by the rumour. And we have Harry Bell joining us, who's a massive English fan. So first and foremost, welcome to all of you all. Mel, I'll start with you. Champions Trophy, is it a forgotten tournament?
Well, everyone remembers it until it's cancelled for a while, and then suddenly we remember it and it comes back, and it's just sort of how it goes. And, you know, it's funny, I actually love the Champions Trophy. Just as a format, the fact that it goes so quickly and there's so little chance to stuff up like there possibly can be during a World Cup, where you can lose a few games and it seems like you go on a bad run. I mean, in this, it's just you've got to be on, haven't you, from the very first game, because there's so little room for error if you're going to get through to the semi-final stage. So for me, I think it's a really entertaining one, but it is just one of those tournaments. It wouldn't surprise me, with everything that's happened in this tournament, the conflict that we knew as soon as it was announced it was going to be in Pakistan, that would arise, and that the can that kept being kicked down the road in terms of, would India go and play there? What would happen? Would it be a hybrid? It wouldn't surprise me, with all the kerfuffle, that if we see it end up being the last Champions Trophy again, until they decide to bring it back again. So it may well be forgotten after this tournament until it's remembered again. It's like, I don't know, the Memento tournament, the sort of the temporary amnesia tournament of world cricket.
I think that's well summed by Mel. Harry, do you echo those thoughts? I mean, do you await such tournaments, or do you think it's just the grander prize where it's the ODI World Cup that we await in this format, 4 years? With the Champions Trophy, any memories which strike initially?
I always look forward to them when they're in England. It's a very fun tournament to host. When the weather's good, you get a long, good day out, and different interesting matches that you don't tend to see otherwise. For this one in particular, I'm in Beijing. It's based out in Pakistan. The games are starting at around 5 o'clock in the evening here. It's just, there's a lot to be excited about. 2 Saturday games starting 5 in the evening. I'm just quite excited to watch with some of my Aussie mates and others over here.
Absolutely. I'd love to break it down in terms of the England stuff in just a bit with Harry, and of course ask Mel about Australia. But let's just get Shubh's thoughts right now about South Africa, because he must be kind of going into this tournament as a positive fan. Made an ICC final against India, lost it. There's another ICC final waiting in the wings against Australia in June. And this one, Shubh, what are your thoughts initial? Positive or not so much?
Dude, how can a South Africa fan be positive heading into an ICC tournament, actually? Because last 4 years there have been just hair pulling heartbreaks for us. 2021 we missed out on the semi-final spot on net. Run rate 22, the less spoken about the better. 23 again, I feel South Africa had quite a chance in the semi-final, because I mean, after a terrible start, South Africa were back on track, but then Travis Head comes along and dismisses Henrik Larsson and Marco Jensen in the same over. So that was a heartbreak again. And last year, you don't talk about it just because 30 of 30 balls, you don't get there. So again, South Africa seems to be in good shape, according to me, heading into another ICC tournament. But at the same time, I know something is going to go down the hill again at the very wrong time, which I think will be a semi-final only. Yeah, I mean, hoping for the best, but crossing the fingers just doesn't work as a South African fan. So we'll see what happens. The only good thing is that South Africa won the first edition in 1998, and as Mel pointed out, this could be the last one. So if they win this, it could be a good start and end for them in this tournament history. So hope that happens, and South Africa has a long awaited. In my lifetime as a cricket fan, South Africa has not won any major tournament in white ball cricket. So I really hope that changes.
But Avanish, doesn't that just sum up about your point about the tournament that everyone forgets? Because everyone always is like, oh, South Africa, they've never won an ICC tournament. Oh, actually, they won the first ever Champions Trophy, but everybody forgets that. It is the thing where everyone forgets certain things about it, and that's just such a great example.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like how Shubh kind of was pragmatic, but then he sprinkled a little bit of positivity. And we'll get into the thoughts about where your teams can lose and win. And before we do so, because we're just talking about the Champions Trophy and we're previewing the tournament, one great memory which stands out from this tournament for each of y'all. It could be personal, it could be a particular moment or a spell or a knock, anything which comes to my mind or your mind, which when I say Champions Trophy. Mel, I'll start with you here.
It's not going to be popular. It's not going to be popular. But the only one I've ever actually been at was the last one in 2017. And I have incredibly strong memories of sitting at the Oval, and I was outside of the press box in the overflow area. So, I was outside in that. And it was absolutely crazy when Pakistan came out on top of India. And I went outside, and my strongest memory is actually going outside the stadium, and there was me there with my little camera, and I was surrounded by all these Pakistani men who were just singing, and there were drums playing, and I was there holding my camera up trying to capture it all. And I from memory, I think if it wasn't the most viewed video on Cricinfo that year, it was up there as one of the most viewed videos. It just went absolutely nuts, this vision of the Pakistani fans celebrating. So I have really strong memories of that, just because it was a wild and crazy day. And that's what I remember most about that tournament, actually. It was wild, and I know that's not going to be popular with India fans, but it certainly lives on strong in my mind.
Absolutely. I mean, every fan has their own particular memory of it, and that's your particular account of it. Harry, what is it for you? Because generally, is it the 2004 Champions Trophy lost to West Indies, Michael Vaughan's team losing in the dark at the Oval?
Oof, it's a little bit long ago for me, that one. Putting aside England's big choke against India and going to a game at Trent Bridge that was completely rained out, which are very traditional English cricket scenes. I had a very good time at the last tournament. I ended up at a few Bangladesh games, and they got a run through to the semi-final. It would have been around 2017, and they were having so much fun. We had tickets to Edgbaston, and it's got big Bangladeshi community up there, and it was just so much fun. But they did lose out on the day.
I remember that game. I think there were a couple of hundreds. I think Joru got one. Tamim Iqbal got one as well in a losing cause. Shubh, finally from you, Champions Trophy memory, one. And which one is that one?
Ricky Ponting and Damien Martin pushing Sharad Pawar off the stage. Maybe I'll go for that. But jokes apart, I think an inning that stands out for me is the one played by Chris Gayle in the 2004 Champions Trophy semi-final against South Africa. They West Indies were chasing some 210 odd or maybe 240. I don't remember their target, but I remember Chris Gayle smashing literally every single South African bowler all over the park. I specifically remember this one straight drive he played of the bowling of Sean Pollock. It is the straightest straight drive ever. The ball traveled with the speed of light. So again, that is another reason that it sticks a lot into my mind.
Okay, fair. I mean, generally good memories. Let us know in the comments if you guys agree with them or disagree. Right, let's start in terms of nitpicking the particular sides and why we've called these individuals on our panel today. So I'll start with Harry in terms of England. And generally, it's not boding well for them going into this competition, Harry. We've seen the ODI form recently in India. They lost 3-0. Even if you cast your mind back, they think nip and tuck series against Australia. They lost out in the Caribbean. So it's not been hunky-dory by any stretch of the imagination. What inspiration can they seek? And more importantly, where's that one area that England can win the Champions Trophy, as bizarre as that sounds?
Looking at the India games, and also just looking at one day as recently, we discontinued to predominantly our list A format cricket domestically in England a few years back and replaced it by and large with the 100. And the players just aren't really playing ODI cricket. And it's rather worrying from our side, just looking at a team coming into a tournament with pretty much no preparation whatsoever, or as little as possible. For me, there are two main positives to pick out. One is Rashid's bowling excellently at the moment, and I'm very excited to see him play. And the other one is, and we'll see how the pitches play out in Pakistan, but there is a lot of quality in that batting lineup, even if they're not performing to the best of their ability necessarily at the moment. Like, there's some really exciting players who have played very well in Pakistan, like Harry Brook and Ben Duckett and Joe Root. So, like, from our own perspective, I think expectations are low. I don't think this is the highest priority tournament for the team, but there's definitely enough quality in there for them to not embarrass themselves completely.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, it's kind of alarming. They've just won 4 out of their 14 ODIs since that 2023 ODI World Cup. And even though they've never won the competition, they've lost out in finals twice. So I don't know if history kind of would bode well for them. What is potentially their one? Is spin a main frailty with England? Is that the obvious one in the room?
I think aside from Rashid, I was very disappointed with how the spin ended up in that India tour. We've had quite a lot of trips to the subcontinent recently. I don't think we've got a strong enough attack to win tournaments out there at the moment, unless someone really performs out of their skin. But then additionally to that, like, I worry about the bowling altogether. But if the pitches are flat enough, that could be nullified if people bat well enough. And also, I do trust that Rashid is an excellent world-class bowler still as well.
Yeah, let's see how England go about it. Mel, I'll come to you about Australia before we get Shubh's thoughts about South Africa. Because Australia, if you actually do the math, they haven't won a single game in the Champions Trophy since 2009, which is a baffling stat. They go into this tournament not with their superstar bowling lineup, unfortunately, and a couple of more injuries that plague them. So do we kind of already count Australia out, as silly as that sounds, or we can never rule out the Aussies? What am I saying?
Yeah, you're probably right in that you can never really rule them out. And especially when, well, obviously they're the reigning world champions. Their batting, you expect, is going to be the thing that people will look at, especially with the likes of Travis Head and the form he has been in all forms of the game, but in particular one-day cricket. He can basically break open a game on his own, as can Glenn Maxwell, and we've seen Steve Smith back in the runs. The likes of Josh Inglis in there as well. I think we've only seen really glimpses of what he's capable of so far. So there's plenty of excitement around the batting. Will they be able to post totals that the bowling attack can defend? I mean, obviously the big three is a huge loss in a major tournament like this. Australia have blooded quite a few players over the past couple of years when they have played ODI bilateral series. In some ways, while the big three, I always used to think if like one of them was out, or maybe even two of them, for me, it's always felt like Adam Zampa is probably the most important bowler in that one-day side of the full-time bowlers, because his consistency of presence, his wicket-taking ability, he's so important for white ball cricket. But to have all three out, and we've just seen them be belted by Sri Lanka, even though they did also play around with their 11. So I don't know how much you take out of that, but that does I think it dents teams' confidence to be belted like that going into a tournament where, as I said earlier, they have to be on from the start. Nathan Ellis has proved himself to be a very, very handy bowler, particularly when it comes to those Yorkers he bowls at the death. He's been one of Australia's more effective death bowlers, in fact. But boy, it's a lot. And to have Aaron Hardy in there who's a very good player, but he's yet to, I guess, prove himself without having Mitch Marsh or Marcus Stoinis there. He's going to have to really step up in that all-rounder role. So I think a lot of the expectation will be that the batters will be doing the heavy lifting and trying to post scores that the bowlers can defend, or that the bowlers led by Adam Zampa really are able to constrain teams enough. And if they are able to constrain teams enough, there'd be a fair bit of confidence that Australia's big names will be able to get them there. But it certainly doesn't look nearly as strong a team as we saw in India last year. So it's going to be a real test for them.
Yeah, I love that analysis, because it's A, killing two birds with one stone, so I don't have to ask you the follow-up, and B, the hopes and concerns are well depicted in terms of just an Aussie journalist POV, how they can actually get the best out of this side. It's something to think about. And who knows, if Australia actually lift the Champions Trophy, then it'll probably be their greatest ever win without the particular bowlers and the players that they have. So look, your guess is as good as mine. Let us know if you guys think Australia are going to win the Champions Trophy in the comments as well. We'll move on to South Africa right now, because Shubh did hint upon it at the top of the show where they could get in the semi-final. But how difficult is this group, Shubh? And is that also something that South Africa would look at? Because at times in the past, these kind of tournaments have done them in the backside.
Still, I feel South Africa has enough firepower in their batting, actually. I mean, every time South Africa play, I'm looking forward to watch Klaasen and Miller bat. And South Africa's strength of late in ODIs has been, belting the hell out of bowlers in the death overs. Since 2023, they have they have a run rate of 9.1 at the death, which is by a distance is the highest among all full member teams that play ODI cricket. So their batting is their power, but their bowling I'm a bit dicey about, because if you see the 11 that I have for them, I have Maharaj, Rabada, Lungi and Gidi and Marco Jensen as their prime bowlers. And even out of them, Lungi and Gidi is kind of, he's just making a comeback. And in the two matches just in Pakistan, he took a bit of hammering. He has a really good slower ball, but that is something that he nails like one or two times in an over. So the rest 4 balls are still is a very good chance for the batter to deal in boundaries and make up for those 1 or 2 dot balls that Lungi has bowled in the over. So again, they have their strengths, but there are weaknesses as well. But those weaknesses have been there for the last couple of years, and South Africa managed to pull their weight through in this format also. So yeah, I'll say 50-50, but as you mentioned that I said that South Africa has a chance for the semi. So I will be positive, and hopefully I think South Africa can make it.
Yeah, again, I mean, generally South Africa gave me good vibes going into this competition. You mentioned Afghanistan there briefly. I'll just have my piece on them really quickly, because if you look at the scalps that they've got, guys, in terms of the last big competitions, you think about Pakistan and England in that ODI World Cup, Australia and New Zealand in the T20 World Cup. So they're getting a real momentum shift in the world game, and they have some really good experienced blokes. You talk about Mohammad Nabi, I think potentially might be his last ICC tournament. He might turn up next year and play the T20 World Cup. But essentially, the openers, like, they were pretty solid in the 2023 ODI World Cup, give me a lot of confidence. If there's any sort of weakness, obviously people in the stats would point out it's the middle order, and maybe the bowlers also come to the party. I mean, I know the mystery spinner Ala Ghazanfar misses out, terrible for him, but they still have Fazal Haq, they still have Rashid, they still have Noor, they still have all these kind of blokes who are very, very canny when it comes to breaking under passages in ODI cricket and then taking it forward. So even though they are up against it, against Australia, England and South Africa, I feel maybe that one game could be, dare I say, an upset. With that tongue in cheek, let's move on with fun and games and wrap up proceedings with these lovely people. And who wants to go first in the quiz? It's basically a quiz, a Champions Trophy 30-second quiz about your team. So Mel will represent Australia, Harry will do that for England, and Shubh, of course, will be there for the Proteas. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. Shubh will go first because I just said so. Name the two venues of Champions Trophy 2009 when South Africa last hosted the tournament.
Centurion, for sure. I don't remember the other one. Oh God, Johannesburg.
Yes. Question 2.
Both
Jack
are correct.
Callis has scored the most runs for South Africa in Champions Trophy history. How many does he have? 650, 750, 550 or 850?
650.
Yes. Question 3. Callis has also taken the most wickets for South Africa in Champions Trophy history, but who comes second?
Sean Pollock.
No, it's Mackay Antony. Fourth question. Which players represent South Africa the most in Champions Trophy history?
Has to be Jack Callis, bro. 4 editions, I guess. 4 to 5 editions for him.
Wrong. It's Mark Boucher with 17. Question 5. Which Proteas bowler has the most ducks in the competition's history?
Andrinel.
Yes. Whom did South Africa beat in the first game of the 2004 Champions Trophy by 9 wickets? Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, West Indies or India?
Bangladesh. Zimbabwe was not there. India were not there. Bangladesh.
Yes. Question 7. In the 2013 semi-final against England, who batted 1 down for South Africa on the day?
JP Duminy.
No, Robin Peterson. Question 8. A.B. de Villiers captained South Africa in their last 2 Champions Trophy tournaments. True or false?
13 he was. 17. Okay, yes.
Yes. Which team did South Africa beat in Mohali in the 2006 Champions Trophy?
Pakistan.
Okay, and finally, Graham Smith's 141 in the Champions Trophy came in the losing cause, but against whom?
England.
Okay, super. Well done. So Shubh has got off to a flying start in this quiz, and I think he's got pretty much 8 right out of 10. I'll just check with my producer. Well done. Let's see how the others compete with Shubh. Mel, I'll let you go last, and let's see how Harry performs here. So Harry, are you ready? Who's taken the most wickets for England in Champions Trophy history?
Is that going to be King Jimmy Anderson?
Yes, well done. Question 2. Where did England play their 2017 Champions Trophy semi-final against Pakistan?
Is it the Oval?
No, wrong. It was Sophia Gardens, Cardiff. Question
Okay.
3. Who was England's first ever opponent in a Champions Trophy game? Was it South Africa, Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka or Pakistan?
It's going to be a guess. I'm going to go Zimbabwe.
Wrong, South Africa. Question 4. Name any 4 bowlers who bowled for England in their Champions Trophy final against India in 2013. You can name any 4. 5 bowled on the day.
I'm going to go Ravi Bopara.
Yes.
I'm going to go Stuart Broad.
Yes.
I think Jimmy Anderson was still in then. Graham Swan.
Wrong. I was looking for Treadwell as the right answer. Let's move on. Ronnie Irani. Ronnie Irani holds the record for the best figures by an Englishman in Champions Trophy history. True or false?
True.
False. Mark Wood, actually. 4 for 33. Ronnie Irani is 4 for 37. Question 6. Who has more runs in the Champions Trophy, Harry? Root or Morgan?
I think Root's going to overtake him in this tournament, but Morgan's got more.
Perfect. Let's move on to question 7. Joe Root's 133 is the highest score by an Englishman in Champions Trophy history. Who comes second with 119 scored in the 2002 Champions Trophy?
Is that Trescothick?
Yes, Trescothick it is. Question 8. Who led England in the 2006 Champions Trophy?
Michael Vaughan.
Wrong answer. Andrew Flintoff. Question 9. Name the 3 English cities which played host to the 2004 Champions Trophy.
London, Birmingham, and Manchester.
I can't give you the points. Southampton was the right answer, not Manchester. And finally,
Southampton.
England were placed in Pool
points.
B in Champions Trophy 2002. Who were the other teams in this group?
New Zealand and the West Indies.
No, wrong answer. It was India and Zimbabwe. So, Harry, well done. You've not
Okay.
beaten Shubh, but you've done yourself a favor indeed in terms of this cricket quiz. Finally, last but certainly not least, is Mel. And of course, I'm going to.
Oh, no. Last and most certainly least. I'm actually going for 0 right.
So, Mel, your time starts now. Your 10 questions about Australia and the Champions Trophy. Question 1. Who was Australia's man of the match in the 2009 Champions Trophy final, which they won?
Was it Shane Watson?
Yes, correct. Question 2. In the 2000...
I got one! Yeah!
One on
Can we
one.
stop now? Stop the quiz!
Super. Question number 2. In the 2000 Champions Trophy fixture of India versus Australia, which Lee brother dismissed Yuvraj Singh that day? Shane or Brett?
I mean, it's got to be Brett, surely.
No, it's Shane.
No. Oh, damn, I was going to go for the less obvious one.
Question 3. Only 2 Australians have been centurions in a Champions Trophy game ever. Who were they?
One was Shane Watson, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Damien Martin?
Wrong answer. It was Ricky Ponting. So you've got 2 wrong. Let's move on. Who has the best figures by an Aussie in a Champions Trophy game ever?
Why
give you a
don't I
clue.
say Brett Lee?
Wrong answer. I was going to give you a clue that he plays for RCB, but let's move on to question number 5. You guys can let us know in the comments as well. Question number 5. Australia's biggest win, Mel, in the Champions Trophy history, actually, was against New Zealand. Is this statement true or false?
I'm going to go with true.
Yes, true. In 2002 it was. Question 6. How many Champions Trophy finals have Australia made so far?
2.
Yes, well done. Question 7. Who did Australia play last in a Champions Trophy game?
Was it India?
Wrong answer. England. Question 8. Ricky Ponting has the most catches for Australia in Champions Trophy history. How many did he grab?
I will go with 7. Avanish?
Wrong. 8 it is, Mel.
Oh,
Question
it's close.
9. Ricky Ponting has the most runs as well for Australia in Champions Trophy history. Who is second on this list?
Well, he got a century, so I'm going with Shane Watson again.
Wrong answer. It was Damien Martin. Finally, let's see if you can grab a consolation here. Question 10. Name any 3 Australian fast bowlers to have a Champions Trophy winners medal around their neck.
Well, I'll go with Brett Lee for one.
Yes.
Jason Gillespie.
Wrong answer.
There you go. May as well stop there.
No worries. Appreciate the attempt, though. It was various bowlers. Peter Siddle to Doug Bollinger, Mitchell Johnson, the Stuart Clark, and then Glenn McGrath as well, having a Champions Trophy medal around that. So, unfortunately, Mel finishes last. I hope Australia do finish actually last in the Champions Trophy group stage as well, because I just don't want them to see another silverware for a while, because I just want other teams to win it. But with all due respect to Mel, she's been fantastic on the show. Thank you so much, Mel. Harry, you finished second in this quiz. And I don't know whether that will be enough for England to qualify out of the group. But look, you made your presence felt as well from Beijing. Thank you for your time. And Shubh, winner, chicken dinner. Only South Africa, hopefully, could say that at the end of the competition. But you guys have been sports. To leave it there, watch Group A and the preview as well if you guys enjoyed this one. Until the next time, subscribe to cricket.com and watch all of it in terms of the coverage of the Champions Trophy right here.